Good day, my name is Trudy Brookman. I'm the proprietor of a law firm in Cape Town, South Africa, and we specialize in consumer law. I'm directing this video to you, or alternatively, you're looking at it on our YouTube or maybe on Facebook platform. Because you may have an interest in the harm caused by fluoroquinolone antibiotics. I'm going to be talking about that as FQAD, fluoroquinolone associated disability. So that's the technical term which is sometimes used by medical professionals. The other term that I'll be using a bit is the more informal expression being floxed, which was coined on the internet, and also means that you have suffered the debilitating long-term disabling effects of fluoroquinolone or quinolone antibiotics. Right, so this is directed at people who are floxed or know people who are floxed and would like to bring a claim as a result for your damages, for the harm caused as a result of these antibiotics. Right, so I've been approached at this stage. I'm recording this video during early November 2019 by a group of about 14 people who suffer from FQAD. I need to explain to all of you, as well as those who will watch this video subsequently, what my firm can do for you. So let me start with that. I'm going to also record a second and a third video giving you more information about your claim, the legal costs, the procedure that we're going to be following, etc. So in this first video, I'm going to be discussing on what basis we're going to be claiming, how much money we're going to be claiming for you, and how we calculate that. So the claim will be a damages claim. Damages is the legal terminology that we use for the amount of money that is intended to compensate you for harm caused in your body or in your life. Okay, as you can imagine, money can't really compensate you for tremendous trauma or loss, or physical suffering, for pain, for insomnia, for loss of relationships, loss of the ability to experience certain things in life. And this is the clumsy way in which our legal system is able to compensate you somehow. So just up front, I appreciate that on a human level, compensation is monetary compensation is actually never good enough. But that is the thing that my firm can offer you. A claim sounding in money, which is intended to compensate you, and that's the way in which the law deals with harm caused, to allow for some mechanism of justice to happen between parties. So, how do we work out what type of harm is covered, and how do we work out the amount that we're going to be claiming? Well, the type of harm that is relevant here would obviously be your medical expenses. So we're going to look at your medical expenses up to now, and then also do an educated guess of what your medical expenses will be or should be in the future, and we're going to ask experts to give us a considered opinion on that. Okay, so medical expenses past and future. Then loss of earnings. If the fluoroquinolone side effects have caused you to be unable to do the type of job that you were doing earlier, to be unable to reach your full potential in terms of work and earning capacity, or have stopped you for a period of being able to earn income, then we're going to quantify all of that, calculate the amounts that you have lost up to now, and then we're also going to look at what the loss in your earning capacity in the future is, and put a rand figure to that. Okay, once again, experts in the field will help us to make those calculations, and we'll be able to give evidence, if necessary, in court to demonstrate that those are realistic and provable figures for you. Okay, then we're going to look at your loss of amenities of life. That's legal jargon to say, what could you do before you took the fluoroquinolones? And as a result of the symptoms caused by the quinolones or fluoroquinolones, what are you able to do now? the difference between the two, so things that you are no longer able to do, no longer able to experience, no longer able to comfortably do, that is what we call loss of amenities of life, and we're going to put a rand figure to that as well. Okay. We're also going to put a rand figure to your pain and suffering claim. The fluoroquinolones appear to cause incredibly intense pain in many people who suffer from FQAD, and there we are going to be calling on a pain specialist to help us to establish the duration of the pain that you've suffered, and the intensity of it, and the treatability of that pain. In some cases, it seems that the pain caused by fluoroquinolone as a result of the fluoroquinolone damage is not treatable or appears to not easily be treatable. So we'll go into that in a lot of detail, and obviously untreatable pain must be compensated with a high rand figure. It attracts a lot of damages if taking a painkiller doesn't work for you. Okay, so what is the legal basis for our claim? The normal thing in law would have been that we claim based on the negligence of the doctor that prescribed the medication. But because the fluoroquinolones seem to be such a mysterious area in medical knowledge, in the area of medical knowledge, and it seems that some doctors don't realize the risks inherent in prescribing the medication, and especially where the medication is prescribed simultaneously with cortisones, or cortisones are prescribed a little bit after the antibiotics, and that increases your risk dramatically to experience FQAD, the fluoroquinolone-associated disability. The normal thing would be to go after the doctors, but what we want to do primarily is to use the Consumer Protection Act, the new provision in Section 61, to claim from the pharmaceutical company instead. So they are the manufacturers, and then somewhere in that group of companies there would be the wholesaler, the importer, the distributor, and then we also want to claim from the retailer. So the retailer in this context is generally the doctor who prescribed to you, sometimes the pharmacist, but we generally would let the pharmacist off the hook and rather go for the hospital or whoever administered, and the doctor or specialist or whoever prescribed the medication, as well as the cortisone medication to you. How does that claim work? Well, generally when you are claiming against a manufacturer for a defective product or a product that causes unintended harm or other consequences, we're not saying that the product is hopeless. We are saying that the product caused harm to me, and you must compensate me for that harm. So my intention isn't to take fluoroquinolones off the market. You're welcome to lobby for that as much as you like as well. I'm tackling an easier project, and that is just to get compensation. Fair, just, reasonable compensation for the particular victims of the fluoroquinolone-associated disability. So, in the same way that if you buy a Ford and it self-ignites while you're driving, and maybe you're injured in the process, or at least you lose the car, and you may lose your possessions that are in the car as the vehicle burns up, of course you have a claim against Ford, who are the manufacturers, the importers, the retailers, the distributors of the Ford vehicle that self-ignited on account of this mysterious internal defect. Same story with the fluoroquinolones. We're saying for some people it seems to have this horrific set of side effects. Those people need to be compensated primarily by the manufacturer, but we're going to be claiming against the entire supply chain. Okay, how much do we claim and how do we calculate that? Well, we were contacted by a client who has really suffered a debilitating results as a result of taking fluoroquinolones. we quantified his claim at 69 million rand. So to give you an indication, that's probably the upper end of the type of claims that we would put in. And remember, we start high so that we can negotiate down if necessary. You can never negotiate up, right? When you're talking to a defendant. So 69 million rand is probably the upper end. So please don't have expectations of hundreds of millions of rands. That's a very, very high damages claim in terms of how things work in South Africa. But at the same time, I want to tell you that these are very substantial claims. I can't see any of you of whom I've heard the story having a claim of less than R1 million. These are claims that are worth pursuing in financial terms. These are claims that are worth waiting for, even if it takes a few years to get your payment. So I would like to urge you to seriously consider whether you would like to go ahead with lodging a claim in the way that I have described. Thank you.